In the first half of my conversation with LinkedIn's Jennifer Shapley, we talked about what makes recruiters great and how the field of recruiting is changing.
Recruiting operations functions, people analytics roles, talent intelligence, talent attraction, media, recruitment marketing. And so TA's really grown up over the last 10 years, which has meant it's really diversified the types of roles that support it.
For part 3, we're digging deeper into how recruiting works behind the scenes at LinkedIn.
I think there's this challenge between the science part of talent acquisition has really come to the forefront, in the last decade or so. And it's hugely important because I think the best recruiters and recruiting leaders are business leaders. They think about the business. They think about ultimately what does it take for the business to succeed, and how do I make sure that our talent strategies are tied to that. But I think we've got to be cognizant of, you go too far away from the art, and we are dealing with humans. And
Right.
So there is an art to it. And so it's balancing, how do you bring that science into it and run it in a highly operational and structured way, and really thinking as a business leader and having the metrics and the data to go with that, but also remembering there are people on the other side of what we are doing.
Right.
I think what's more important is people identifying people who have those skills.
Right.
And honestly, the skills that it takes to be a successful recruiter can be developed in a variety of ways. Some organizations, us LinkedIn being one of them, have started to do this ourselves, realizing we've got to be able to create our own funnel of talent. And so we have apprenticeship programs, in recruiting to do just that.
I'd love to talk about it. I'm curious, what do you guys do? Is it different for, different roles in TA because there's so many? And is it kind of centered around there's one core that everybody goes through and then you branch out?
Yeah, so we have really two programs that I would put into this category. One, we have in our engineering recruiting team, a recruiting associate program, which is hiring folks who may have some but very little, recruiting experience, or just kind of associated recruiting experience. And they come in and we train them specifically on engineering recruiting. Often though, folks have some type of recruiting experience before they're coming into that, but we're maybe not technical, et cetera. What we built probably 3-4 years ago was a recruiting apprenticeship program that we call RAMP, Recruiting Amplified. It is specifically for folks who have no recruiting experience. And it's something we've been piloting with the format on, so we're still kind of adjusting what's going to be the right format there long term.
Right.
But it is folks who have really no previous recruiting experience, but are interested in it. And it's a centralized kind of boot camp on recruiting, where then they buddy up with folks in the functional groups to learn more about the specifics of what does it mean to be a sales recruiter, what does it mean to be an engineering recruiter, et cetera.
That's fascinating. And I've also heard you talk about storytelling. I'm curious where does that come in?
You can be great at telling a story, but we still need to help you understand the LinkedIn story. We hire some great recruiters into LinkedIn. So certainly people are bringing fantastic skill sets that we learn from, as soon as they join us. So definitely are bringing folks in who are already, great at telling a compelling story, engaging candidates, et cetera. But they're new to LinkedIn. And so it's what's that LinkedIn story? And how do we tell that in a compelling way? And that's something that either you take years of building up your own stories from being in an organization,
Right.
so you can tell them in an authentic way,
Right.
or we can put a course together where we teach you those and we give you those stories, and then you build your own over time too, but we're seeding you with, let us tell you about how this place started. Let us tell you about, the significant milestones that happened and what was going on behind the scenes when those happened. And so we have a master storyteller course that is a required course for anyone who joins talent acquisition. So regardless of your level, it has everything to do with us just setting the bar for, this is something that's incredibly important to us. We believe it absolutely differentiates average recruiters from great recruiters. And we want you to have the tools to be able to reach out and write a compelling message, tell a compelling story.